Blessings, everyone. It's time for a weekly resonance vibe check on the entire collective. You can look at this as a bit of a general reading. It most certainly will feel like a general reading. But in this, we're going to actually be talking about the background energy that is going to be informing a lot of things that are manifesting throughout the course of this week, very much in the same way that we would look at a general horoscope for each zodiac sign. In this particular spread, we're also going to be looking at what's happening as far as the entire collective movement is going, because we've got a lot of big shifts going on throughout the month of May, especially when it comes to different soul groups and soul families. And we'll be talking a lot about that, I feel, as we go into this particular spread, this particular read. I do want to remind everyone that this week's astrology I actually plucked out of my Patreon, and I actually put it up because the Pluto retrograde that began at the end of April is a very important thing to talk about. It does actually add to a lot of what is going on atmospherically throughout the course of this next 5 months, starting at the end of April and ending at the very beginning of October, end of September. And if you want to check that out, you can always go to my main channel page or follow the links down below, and your weekly horoscopes will be coming out here very shortly. And if you are on Patreon, stay tuned. Sunday, I'll be putting up the weekly bonus astrology report. So, what is going on when it comes to this week's resonance reading? What's going on with just the all-around energy check? Well, this week's big spiritual focus, or the big story that is happening collectively, is the Two of Pentacles. And when we have the Two of Pentacles here, it feels as though there is another world getting ready to kind of take over where another world is dropping away. But everybody is feeling like they've got one foot in both. When we have this experience, it's an opportunity for everybody to experience life as though they were actually in a completely different atmosphere, a different world, almost like going into a completely different show, getting into a completely different role and realm. And with the Two of Pentacles, I'm absolutely seeing that this is something that is overtaking a lot of what might have been considered constant or normal or still for a lot of people. And with the Two of Pentacles, this does not necessarily have to be a disruptive force. This can absolutely be a blessing. This can absolutely be something that is bringing a lot of freedom to people, a lot of opportunities to actually step out of one life experience and into something completely different. But with the Two of Pentacles, it's kind of like you are walking in both worlds at the same time, and eventually the new is going to completely overtake the old. But a lot of this week is going to be about adjusting, acclimating, and integrating these experiences, whether it's happening on your job, in your relationships, in your family life, your home life. It's going to be really important to understand that we don't want to try and cling to that which is actually beginning to move on its way out. We want to make sure that we allow this gradient integration process more and more to work for us, and so that way we can have not only the best experience possible, but the transition actually proceeds with as much ease and grace as possible. As we get on to the material world, what's going on when it comes to things that revolve around, yes, maybe finances, a lot of people's industries. We talk about jobs, we talk about money, we talk about professions, even living situations as it relates to the domicile, right? Very much like the regular weekly horoscopes, which are coming, by the way. we've got the Page of Swords upright, and there is actually a great deal of innovation coming through, a lot of evolution when it comes to maybe stepping into new roles, new ways to perform one's work, or maybe even to perform in one's field. The Page of Swords, everyone is getting a chance to actually experiment with a completely new way of actually procuring, generating, and manifesting abundance. Now, this can come in the form of a lot of meetings, a lot of interviews, a lot of brainstorms, but also at the same time, a lot of tests and evaluations are also happening. And for the entire collective, there is this sort of wake up call to pay attention to where some things might be either stuck in the past, not necessarily serving very well anymore. They're just not applicable to what's going on with their jobs, with their economy, with their work life, all of that. But also at the same time, paying attention to their field and the things that they work with. What is actually the real deal? What is actually serving? What is being offered in a pure, organic, and authentic way versus something that is ultimately maybe trying to present that, but not actually, hitting the mark. The Page of Swords it's kind of like a pop quiz for everybody. Now, the interesting thing about this pop quiz is that this is providing a lot of opportunities for people, markets, fields in general to actually get promoted, to actually get lifted up in a very, very big way. But anything that may be kind of faking it or maybe relying purely on things like aesthetic or hype or influence might not necessarily make this cut. As we get on to the communities, how we look at friendships, how we look at gatherings, how we maybe look at family structures, any kind of major news that could come through the area of communications, or big swift shifts that are going to be changing this from from what we were used to in April into what we're going into with May. We've got the Eight of Cups upright, and this is very much falling in line with what we saw in the full moon in Scorpio video. The talk about walking away, the talk about adoption, getting adopted into a lot of healthier, a lot more prosperous, and a lot more stable circumstances. I do feel that a lot of groups that have been maybe unstable or built on unstable foundations. This can also, of course, expand into family relationships, friendship relationships. This does feel a bit more on the platonic side of things. I'm not saying that it can't be for romance, but this particular area is about a different kind of news for the most part. I do see a lot of groups kind of splitting up, a lot of disbanding, but not disbanding in a way that anyone should feel bad for. The Eight of Cups is everybody getting ready to move on to the level that they're actually at, getting ready to start uniting and connecting with people that actually match their level of growth, match their level of maturity, match their level of passion in a way that is going deep. The Eight of Cups can indicate that, yes, a lot of friendship situations or social communities, tribes, if you will, are going to be beginning a split up, a bit of a breakup at this time. And it does not have to be negative, but there is a pursuit of more fulfilling individual connections, and the scattering of a lot of these tribes, may actually be long overdue in some cases, especially if maybe the belonging to that tribe or being kind of bound under the umbrella of that group or that ideal or that family or that clique or that network was ultimately actually creating stagnation or static activity. This is going to be a time where, with the Eight of Cups, everyone's getting a chance to go with those that actually are truly, not performatively, but truly their match, their equal, and of course, aligned in energy, emotion, love, loyalty, and purpose and function. As we get on to the more challenging aspects or things that need to be actually transmuted, what's going through a transmutation process, what is being transformed, We have the Ace of Pentacles. And with the Ace of Pentacles, of course, this makes perfect sense. Everything we've looked at so far is showing a very strong clearing process that is actually happening for everyone. A lot of old fixtures, a lot of old staples and pillars getting cleared away. Now, whether or not these are things that people saw as secure or not, of course, your mileage may vary. It's a general reading. But with the Ace of Pentacles, what is happening is that there is this release of the old world, the release of the old self, the release of the old identity, the release of the old cyclical, right? Reality, the wash, rinse, and repeat reality for everybody. And we see lift ups everywhere, kind of like that Page of Swords, but it may actually be challenging or, yes, possibly destabilizing for those that might actually rely or have fallen asleep in a familiar pattern. And this could be, a bit of a splash of water wake up call for a lot of people. As we get on to the interpersonal relationships, when we talk about, for the most part, relationships in terms of romance, we do have the Temperance card. And I do feel that a lot of relationships are actually going through a different kind of healing process over the course of this period, especially when it comes to situations where, with the Temperance card, those of you who might actually be single or available to new people are actually going to have a lot more of an easy time drawing in those that actually are truly a match for where you are in your growth, where you truly are in your expression down to the core. Because the Temperance card is all about a blending and, of course, an incorporation of that which is a complementary match. A lot of relationships are going through a filtration process. Now, this can sometimes indicate, yes, where a lot of healing, a lot of reparation is happening for a lot of folks in terms of romance. But in cases where, depending on how much has to get filtered out, an entire relationship may itself also have to go through a complete reevaluation. So that is what I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for your zodiac general horoscopes, and don't forget to check out the Pluto retrograde astrology video that I put up earlier. You can follow the link in the down bar below or just go to my main channel page. Take care.